Today on our show, we will be joined by Mrs. Connie Blaney and her district update, Dr. Judy Barber, an imperative focus on learning, and Mr. Kramer will be making a guest appearance with an interview of Rex Suba, and then after that, we'll have his first Pinpoint show.
Hi, and welcome to the 5th episode of District Directions. I'm Lawrence Bothwell.
And I'm Amanda Patterson. Mrs. Connie Blaney is here to give us a brief update on the bond election and what's up with the Board of Education.
Norman patrons will go to the polls to vote on a bond issue next week, Tuesday, October 8th. The polls are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at your regular precinct polling place. The $5,680,000 bond issue includes technology equipment, furniture, facility improvements, construction and remodeling at Norman High School and Norman High School North, new cafeteria at Central Mid-High, tennis court repairs at Norman High, new restrooms and concession stand at Irving Middle School softball field, and also roof repairs and other improvements at various school sites. Employees and patrons are reminded to vote on this very important day. Superintendent Jim Gray said that we do not anticipate that taxes will go up because as new bond issues are passed, old ones are paid and removed from the tax rolls. If you have any questions at all about this bond election, please feel free to give my office a call, 366-5961. We want to congratulate Linda Kramer, Norman's District Teacher of the Year, for being recognized as one of the 12 finalists in the state. This past Tuesday, she was recognized with a Crystal Award and a plaque at the State Teacher of the Year Award ceremony at the State Fair in Oklahoma City. Although she was not named Oklahoma's Teacher of the Year, we are very proud of Mrs. Kramer, Central Mid-High English teacher, for standing out in the crowd at the special ceremony. It is an honor to be named a finalist among 199 outstanding Oklahoma teachers. In our opinion, Linda Kramer is number one. The Citizens Advisory Council sponsored public hearings this last week to discuss the transfer policy. The Board of Education has charged the 47 members of the group to study the transfer policy this school year and to make recommendations to the board at a board meeting in January of 1997. The purpose of last week's hearings was to get input from parents and students about their thoughts on this subject. A second set of public hearings will be held on November 12th at Whittier Middle School and on November 14th at Irving, West Mid-High, and Central Mid-High. Central will be the new location for Longfellow Middle School, and West Mid-High will be the new location for the 4th Middle School, Alcott Middle School. We encourage parents to mark their calendars and plan to attend one of these hearings in November. The hearings will be the same at each school site. This is the big week for Norman Public Schools United Way Drive. Our goal is to exceed last year's donation of $33,261.97. If every employee gives just a little bit more than they did last year, we'll exceed our goal. The cutoff date for submitting pledges is set for October 4th, so that payroll deductions pledges can begin with the October paycheck and run through June. All of our money stays right here in Norman. It benefits children and families in our community. All pledges should be turned in to your office or to Betty Toon's office, the Secretary in the Public Relations Office. A reminder again to please vote next Tuesday, October 8th in the Norman Public Schools bond election at your regular precinct polling place anytime between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. For Norman Public Schools, I'm Connie Blaney.
Dr. Judy Barber has been doing a lot of digging around and about this new bond election. In fact, her entire focus on learning is devoted to this very important issue.
Welcome to Focus on Learning. On Tuesday, October the 8th, the City of Norman will have a chance to vote for a bond election that will make a difference in the instructional environment in our city. Connie Blaney, who's the Director of Public Relations, and Dr. Dick Schiller, Assistant Superintendent, have joined me to talk about this bond election. Connie, why don't you start? Why don't you talk about the kinds of things that you've done to help the public know about the bond election?
Okay, in addition to this segment that we're doing today, where, of course, it's very important that we communicate with our public, our parents will be receiving in the elementary students in the Thursday folders on Thursday the 3rd of October. Around Friday or Saturday, all of the parents of secondary students should be receiving a letter through the mail from Dr. Gray, our superintendent, and in addition with information about all the items that are listed on the bond issue. We'll also be communicating through the newspapers, the radio stations, and any other avenue of news media.
Okay. Dick, let's take some time, and we have a flyer here that talks about the things that the public will get a chance to vote on, so let me just ask you some particulars. Playground equipment for Lincoln Elementary School.
Right, Judy. That's the result of a partnership between the Lincoln PTA and the Norman Public Schools bond issue program. That we're each contributing 50% with our portion not to exceed $10,000 towards the purchase of playground equipment over there. They need some new equipment, and the PTA approached us and we agreed on this bond issue.
Okay. And then the next segment is on instructional technology, equipment, and furniture. What do you see happening there?
Well, that's to help us purchase some big ticket items, I think, that we need to do on a pretty regular basis. That helps us buy computers, some band and orchestra uniforms, and of course we know we're going to have some new band and orchestras coming up here in the very near future. Some audiovisual equipment, and then of course science equipment too, where, as we'll talk about later here, we're bringing on about 20 new science rooms online in our school district in the next year. Right. So we need some science equipment to stock those.
It's interesting to me as we've watched technology take off across the culture and also in our district, how much we need, and of course how expensive it is, and we needed it all yesterday. So this is a large chunk of money to begin to make inroads into that, isn't it?
Right. It's nearly $1 million. It's not quite, but it's approaching that amount, and we need to do that on a regular basis on our bond issues with equipment and furniture and that kind of thing. We're bringing online also about probably 180,000 square feet of new construction in our district within the next year. And there needs to be some furniture for that, that kind of space, and that's part of our bond issues now and in the future. Okay.
And then under facility and building improvements, we have Irving Middle School.
Yes, that's an interesting project. It's not a terribly large project in itself, but it's pretty important, I think. Irving has the softball field for the school district, and we have a couple of at least girls softball teams in our school district at Norman High alone, and then other schools as well. Our attempt there is to improve the facility, and we're going to do some new construction of a building that'll serve as a concession stand, and we'll have restrooms in it and storage area for equipment and water fountains, and to get all of the amenities that we need out on that field. That's getting to be a very popular sport with a pretty good following of fans, and it deserves an upgrade in its facility, certainly.
Okay. And Central Mid-High School.
Central Mid-High, of course, is going out of the Mid-High business at the end of this year. This will be the last year it'll be called Central Mid-High. It will become Longfellow Middle School, and as such, we'll have a closed campus, for example, for lunch, whereas Central Mid-High in the present, really, has an open campus. And the cafeteria at Central Mid-High is not probably sufficient to take care of the number of students that will be eating on campus next fall. So we are building a new construction addition that'll come out of, if my geography is right here, or my orienteering, it's at the northeast, I think, end of the gymnasium at Central. It'll be a pretty good size structure that'll continue out from that gymnasium and remodel even part of the existing building into a cafeteria, including a kitchen, a serving area, and then a seating and eating area in the place.
All right. And then we go to Norman High School North and Longfellow Middle School.
Longfellow Middle School, as you know and as we've just discussed, also goes out of business as a middle school at the end of this school year. And both Central and Longfellow have had glorious careers, I think, as has West Mid High in our district. But they will be, both of those West and Central will become, as I mentioned, middle schools. Longfellow will become a high school. And we all, I think, are aware of that. It'll be Norman High School North, a very large school, comparable in size to Norman High School. We built Norman High School North in 3 phases. The first phase was the addition of a major new classroom building. The second phase was to finish out the interior of that and to build the shell of a competition gymnasium and a building that contains music rooms and wrestling rooms and locker rooms and that kind of thing. That was phase 2. Phase 3 that we're voting on this fall then would be to finish the interior of that gymnasium shell and to begin remodeling the existing Longfellow Middle School building, the old building. And we'll be setting about that hopefully very quickly.
And this bond election really does affect the progress of that, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It's key to it. We must have the funds from this project, from this bond issue for that project.
Right.
Really do.
Yeah. And then we have the Norman High School Science Building.
That's going to be a great building, and you can watch its progress. Kind of fun too from Main Street. This is an addition that's at least doubling the size of the existing science building. The shell for that building is almost complete. We'll, matter of fact, be looking at that in the next month on our show. We need to go in now and finish out the interior of that with the casework, millwork, and laboratory equipment that it needs. We also, on this bond issue, will begin remodeling the existing science building, the west side of that building, bank of rooms, and that's in this project too. In addition to that, we're going to improve the fire suppression system at Norman High School by running a water main in and some hydrants that will give us better access to water in case there would be any kind of a fire on the campus.
And with this addition, that will allow Norman High School and Norman High North to have very comparable facilities, will it not?
In science, you betcha. Right. And the other, we've been remodeling Norman High School's rooms for several years, and we will continue for several years at both sides, as a matter of fact.
And that's the intention, to have both of those schools comparable.
Yes, it is.
Then we have the Norman High School tennis courts.
We have 4 tennis courts at Norman High School that we think are badly in need of repair. And we've worked with the tennis club boosters, and they're a delightful group with Mrs. Huffaker and some other folks that have worked with me. We have that on the bond issue. They'll be completely resurfaced with it and reinforced and brought up to a good standard. So we look forward to that. They're much used by our teams and by our friends and neighbors in the community.
Well, as I look through all of the things that are planned for this bond issue, it really does go clear across the district and the city in regard to all of the schools, and then it helps us take our mid-highs and begin to change them more closely to middle school facilities, and then of course our new high school and our current high school to bring them to equal
We'll be
facilities.
coming back in future bond issues very soon with some additions at Alcott, the current West Mid-High, that'll become Alcott Middle School, and some elementary schools and some more at the secondary level. So the future bond issues, I think, will even more spread that kind of improvement around.
And then there are the things that always have to occur, even when you're not changing to new buildings, transportation.
Yes, we always need new buses and vans, and especially as we're going to this new configuration, we know that there'll be an even greater demand on them. at least equal to that, and actually more. We need drivers. So if anyone out there has a commercial driver's license and is interested in being a driver for the Norman Public Schools, we'll take it. That's not on the bond issue, that's just a plug.
Just throw that in.
Yeah, I thought of
Yes,
it.
we definitely need that.
Yep.
How about people's taxes?
The taxes should not be greatly affected by this at all. They should remain approximately the same. As we float these new bonds, we don't do that until we pay off a comparable amount of bonds, and it has a negligible impact on anyone's taxes.
Well, Connie, I know that you, in closing, certainly want to say something to the public. What would that be?
I'd just like to remind all of our employees and our patrons out in the community to get out and vote on Tuesday, October 8th, between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. at the regular polling place. And if you have any questions about the bond election, please feel free to call my office at 366-5961.
Thank you all for joining me on the show. I appreciate that. And thank you all for joining us on Focus on Learning.
Alrighty, remember to vote on October 8th because we need the equipment. Rex Suba is one of the media teachers during the school day, but when the professional educators of Norman meet, he becomes the Penn president.
And here to join us and find out what the Penn president and his weekly show are all about is Mr. Kramer interviewing Mr. Rex Suba.
In their dealings with the Board of Education, the teachers in Norman are represented by a professional organization called the Professional Educators of Norman. And this year's president of Penn is Norman High School Media 1 teacher Rex Suba, who's with us now and who will be doing a weekly feature on district directions called
Pinpoint TV.
Pinpoint TV. Oh, good title.
Even have graphics ready for it.
All right, as you would, because you are the graphics aficionado here at the studio. Your experience is you have a computer background, if I'm not mistaken, and you run a local computer group in addition to the...
I've been secretary, treasurer, newsletter, editor of the Oklahoma City Amiga user group, and the Amiga happens to be a computer we use here in the studio.
And also, I've seen your name a lot because you're doing a lot of home pages, a lot of internet work, not just for the studio, but for other organizations around town. And the Amiga newsletter is not the only one you're involved with.
Well, I do different things with different volunteer organizations in the area, and it really helps me feel like I can contribute because I don't really want to do a whole lot in these organizations, but it's something that I know that I can do consistently.
But in the Professional Educators of Norman, that's an organization that you are doing a lot in. And you're not alone in that as well. You are the president. Let's talk a little bit about that organization so we understand how it works. It represents the teachers and the administrators. Teachers and administrators in their dealings with the board. So in some ways it's like a labor union, but it's not. How is it different than a labor union would be?
Well, unlike the AFT, for instance, we can't strike. And unlike a lot of other teacher organizations in the state, we don't have collective bargaining. And I think that allows the administrators to feel very much a part of the organization because we use what's called the meet and confer process, where we basically are able to discuss fairly openly some of the concerns and the issues that we have, and we have a mediator that represents the board, and this person travels back and forth between our group and the administration for the district to come to some compromises and consensus about where things can go, such as budget and salary.
Okay. So that is the main one, and that's the one we've just been dealing with early in the year. We have our contracts and we have the salary scale, they say, and that came from a Penn committee?
Yes, and it's the only one that we have that's elected, but we have a number of teachers and administrator on that. Herbert Skidmore, the past president of Penn, who is a teacher here at the high school, and Dan Quinn, who is the principal here at the high school, are co-chairs currently of budget and salary.
What are some of the other committees or some of the other issues that Penn involves itself with?
We have an elections committee, which of course takes care of elections. We have a committee that deals with being in contact with the legislators, and we have teachers such as Sandy Bayhan from Central that have been very active in that and expect that she might be able to be a significant help for that. We have some various ad hoc committees that will be formed as things go on, through the year.
Now, is it a representational type of organization? Are all teachers members? Or?
No, Penn is an affiliate of the Oklahoma Educators Association and the National Education Association, and so there's a dues that you pay at all the different levels. Currently, about 60% of the teachers in Norman are members. We have probably half of the administrative staff at the elementary schools are members, and various other educational workers here in the district are members.
Is it all or nothing? If you join OEA, do you automatically join Penn and NEA, or can you pick and choose?
You pretty much join the whole thing. The only difference would be perhaps if somebody were half-time, they would still pay their full-time dues to our local organization, but then they would only pay half-time for NEA, OEA. We do have some support people that belong to OEA, NEA, but since they're not teachers, then they're not affiliated with Penn.
How are they represented in their dealings with the board?
They have their own organization called Support Personnel Association of Norman. I believe that's what SPAN stands for. It's not specifically affiliated with any other organization, so they're very much locally controlled, and so they really depend on their local resources.
The 40% of the staff who are not members of Penn, are they represented some other way, or are they just kind of out of the loop?
Well, they're represented in terms of what we do with the budget and salary, because all of the educational staff benefits when we deal with issues such as budget and salary. But when it comes to issues of working conditions that they require specific support from an organization like Penn, OEA, NEA, then yes, they are kind of left out. There are different things that they get for their membership, which is about $345 per year with all of the different components built in, and they get free or reduced legal coverage on both professional and personal levels. So if they want to deal with a will, if they never thought of doing a will, that would be covered. Powers of attorney, a lot of things that we have taken for granted to have to pay on our own, those are covered with their dues.
That's a good deal. I always thought it was just if you got sued on the job or something like that, but there are some personal benefits that you can derive from this organization.
And the salary issue for Penn is only one of a myriad of things we have to deal with, and so part of what we want the members to understand, and as well as the people that are thinking about membership, is that certainly we go to the table and meet with the administration to deal with issues of salary, but that's just one thing that we have to be able to make sure that we cover our members on.
Now, the PennPoint TV that you're working on, and that is part of this show, will let the community and the teachers know what's going on with Penn. What are some things we might expect you to cover over the course of the year?
Well, hopefully we will be able to meet with some of the key people in the organization, some of whom the viewers of Norman have already seen before, and some new faces hopefully too. Also talk about what the activities will be that are coming up. Certainly between now and November, with this being an election year, the issue of how education is being dealt with on the governmental level will be a key component of what we bring up during our PennPoint TV segments.
Well, I know that we as professional educators and the community of Norman as a whole will be interested in the dealings of Penn, and we'll be looking forward to your segments on PennPoint TV here on District Directions.
As we said before, Mr. Suba has a weekly show called Pinpoints, and now here he is with his first show.
Welcome to the first edition of PennPoint TV. I'm Rex Suba, President of Professional Educators of Norman for 96-97. PennPoint TV is intended to be a significant source of information about what is happening in the organization. For those of you who are not familiar with Penn, let me share you some background information. Penn is an affiliate of the Oklahoma Education Association as well as the National Education Association. The association serves as the official representative body for over half the educational staff of the Norman Public School District. The membership of Penn includes counselors, classroom teachers, teachers who also have coaching duties, library media specialists, counselors, special education teachers, curriculum directors, and district administrators. Like the state and national associations, Penn has a diverse membership with a range of views and concerns. As a representative organization for the blending of these educational practitioners, Penn is continually striving to address the general issues for all of the educational staff, such as district budget and salary concerns, as well as the specific concerns of the individual educational practitioner. Thanks to the efforts of Herbert Skidmore, the past president of Penn, and with some assistance from Dr. Richard Schiller, Penn is now centrally located near the heart of downtown Norman. Here in the old Norman Post Office, above the Norman branch of the Professional Development Center, is the office for the organization. Now equipped with the necessities for carrying out most of the relevant tasks as Penn president, this location features a large conference table constructed by Mr. Skidmore. Members are encouraged to come to the office for a visit, even if you don't have a specific appointment or a concern that you must discuss. The phone number for the Penn office is 366-1148. One particular goal for my presidency is the increased availability of information about Penn activities. More timely than the weekly TV show is Penn Online, our website. The address or URL will be given at the end of this episode. Here you can access all sorts of information relating to our association and our profession. With the various links on the main page, anyone on the Internet's World Wide Web can view information about the association's activities, get information on Board of Education, such as which board member serves your residential area, links to relevant areas such as ASCD and NASSP. You can even conduct a basic search with the link to the popular search engine Yahoo. You want to see pictures of the Representative Assembly or other meetings in which Penn members participated, it's all there. The National Education Association has a link to Penn's website, and we have a link to theirs. The Oklahoma Education Association is developing their website as we speak, and Penn's website will feature relevant OEA information as space allows. You can even contact officers and executive council members via email just by clicking on their name. The website for Penn has received kudos from around the region and from around the country. Most of the people who have visited the site, however, are not from Norman. Sandy Bayhan from Central Mid-High is serving as chair of our Legislative Contact Committee. She and I encourage all of you to make sure that you're registered to vote and to please to vote in November. Please stay tuned to Penn Point TV for more on what this committee is doing. Well, this has been the first segment of Penn Point TV. Please remember to vote in the upcoming bond election and visit our Penn website. Here is the address: www.ionet.net/amigapc/pen/pen1.html. We know that is a long address, but it will help you keep informed about the activities of the professional educators of Norman and of education in action everywhere. Thanks for watching Penn Point TV. Good night.
Thank you, Mr. Suba. Remember, patrons of Norman, to please vote for the October 8th bond election. Every vote counts, so please. Well, that's it for our show today. For Amanda Patterson and the Norman Public Schools, I'm Lawrence Bothwell. Have a good night.
Good night.